Comic Book Coffee Break. I'm Nick Gunning.
I'm Eric Michaels, known online as Dusk vs. Tweak.
My man, today I'm drinking coffee bean and tea leaf Costa Rica blend. It's black and it's on ice.
Delicious?
It's pretty good, actually.
Okay.
The cup, you might notice, is an original from a mutual friend of ours. Miss Amy Kuhn made me this mug nearly a decade ago.
Yeah.
So
that's a nice shout out.
Amy Kuhn Art. Find her online.
That's a nice shout out, but she will never hear that shout out because this is not the kind of project that we do that she would have any interest in. It actually created a lot of tension between her and I. Very negative tension where she would say stuff about comic books and I would be like, "You're a garbage human being." No.
Wow.
Anyway, it's just okay because she'll never watch this.
Hey.
Yeah.
Before you say the rest of your thing,
Uh-huh.
I think that our viewers and listeners and fellow comic book aficionados should know that this is the birthday episode for you, man. Happy birthday.
Pretty much, yeah.
How you doing?
2 days into 34.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
it's pretty good.
The age is really showing on you, so congratulations.
Thanks. Should I show them a present you got me? I got it right next to me. It's
sure.
It's a giant Batman. It's part of that DC multiverse.
Yeah.
Is this toy line?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a McFarlane Toys. Cool.
Yeah.
It's going for the animated series vibe.
Yeah.
Huge.
But he has kind of a cronky vibe though in the build.
You shared that, and it's also like you forget how much the Bruce Timm designs are thin at the waist. Very bulky, very small waisted. He's trying to keep that 1950s feminine physique. So,
Yep, looks like a swimmer. Nice big barrel chest.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, I've also got some more presents that you sent me, but we'll deal with those in a bit. Right. I'm 34. I'm wearing a sweatshirt my wife made me. It's a Greendale community shirt, and on the back it says, "Were that this hoodie." Oh boy, I'm saying it wrong. Here it is. Would that this hoodie were a time hoodie.
Yes.
So, one of my favorite jokes in Community. Dean Danger.
Sure.
All right.
But I've interrupted you now. You got to tell me what's in your mug and what kind of mug you got.
I've got a Rooster mug, and I'm drinking Country Time lemonade. This Rooster mug, I can't remember did I buy this, but with you? Because if you remember, my first apartment after college, the landlady was putting up a rooster wallpaper along the windows and seemed very excited about it. And it was kind of a joke between all of us. And
I'm pretty sure I think that's another mug that I bought you.
All right. Well, there we go. So this is
the joke from your rooster days. Sure. Wow. What a throwback.
Yeah. Let's see. What's next on this thing? This show is brought to you by Radio Meanwhile Network. You can find more about this show and others like it at our network's website, radiomeanwhile.com.
Other shows on that network include Three Nice Things, where we force ourselves to say three nice things about a movie with a bad and often earned reputation. I'm looking forward to Pluto Nash. I think that's next on the rotation for me.
On for Pluto Nash.
Guest starring.
Battleship.
Battleship, yeah.
Which is unfinished business for Nick in a lot of ways.
It is. Well, I'm a huge Eddie Murphy fan, and I haven't seen Pluto Nash, and I read Peter David's novelization of the movie Battleship, and
that's right.
I never saw the movie, so yeah.
Continue.
Unfinished business. If I was Casper, those movies would be keeping me on this earth.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Elsewhere, we have Radio 64, featuring video game music remix radio. I enjoyed the Street Fighter episode.
Thanks, man.
I got to give a shout out there. My girl Cammie was underrepresented, but I understand time constraints of the radio.
But she had a track on the previous episode on a non-Street Fighter 2 one, though it was a Cammie Ken mix. And I didn't realize until listening to that remix how similar those two tracks, like the Cammie track would become the Ken song, and there were moments where I'd be like, I don't know which is which right now. So
okay. And finally, we have did I say previously on X-Men?
No.
Previously on X-Men, the podcast that looks back at X-Men comics, movies, shows, characters, and more. So, I mean, if you're here, you're a comic book fan, so you should go listen to previously on X-Men.
Yeah.
They're going to be talking about Storm.
Yes, that's true. Thank goodness for this show, too, because I forgot I had a whole episode to edit on my computer, and it wasn't until we were recorded last week that I was like, oh my gosh! So, we had to talk about the return of Morph in the X-Men animated series.
Yeah, with the raccoon eyes. He comes back
which
and he's
blew your child mind.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
I could.
I
Not
imagine
get
you
over
at
it. I was like,
recess and
it's
you're like,
Lord!
everybody
It was
gather
so
around. We
shocking.
we gotta talk about this.
I was talking to my friend Brandon Earls on the phone while it was happening. I'm like, "Are you seeing this, man? It's Morpheus back." Not an exaggeration.
Mm-hmm. Of course
Not
I'm seeing it. It's Saturday morning on Fox Kids, man.
Speaking of Fox in the 90s, the last show on the Radio Meanwhile Network
That's
includes
true,
90210 Here We Go, a 90210 rewatch podcast hosted by a 90210 expert and a 9021 novice.
It's too bad I didn't have the foresight to record Kendra watching The Simpsons for the first time as she is right now.
Yeah, like a
we
reaction.
just finished season 6 because that would be this trifecta of Fox early 90s Fox TV show, X-Men, Simpsons, and your 90210. Simpsons.
You gotta get X-Files in there though.
Yeah, when you're looking at when you're looking at how the Simpsons do, they're usually behind 90210 in the ratings. That week.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right, enough of this preamble. Let's talk comic books.
Yeah, screw preamble. Who are we? Nick's Captain America comic. He's gonna have some words about.
Yeah. You know, I really liked the. I mean, if we want to dive right into it, talking Marvel, I really liked Volume 1 of this Ed Brubaker Captain America, the 2011 Volume 1, not the one way back forever ago. Yeah. I liked it. It was this whole thing about this villain coming back from like the old super soldier days and like invading people's dreams and stuff. I loved it. I thought it was really good. This second one, I was just kind of like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah,
because I was boring. I didn't like it at all.
I don't remember anything about this series, but I gave the first volume 4 stars, just like you. And then this second volume, I gave 2 stars. So agreed. I don't remember this, but I remember not liking it, apparently.
Yeah.
So
you know what? If you want full disclosure here, I've read this within the last 7 days. I could not, if my life depended on it, tell you what happened in that.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah. It's Alan Davis. Am I right with that? Alan Davis is on the art, or the whole art, or just the cover? Yeah, his art style. Yeah. His art style. A lot of people love it. It's very classic in its style, but sometimes it's also feels a bit too old timey.
Yeah.
In a way that makes me feel like I'm reading like Grandpa's thing. But like other times I'm like, oh, this is great art. And then you read something like this and you're like, oh, come on, Grandpa, I don't want to read your comic books. Where's the Captain America for today?
I think it suited the story in the first volume, you know, and then the second volume, nothing was really firing for me. So I don't know.
Brubaker was
I'll probably stick it out. That does happen. I'll probably stick it out because this is not a long series.
Yeah, it's only 4 volumes.
I'll probably just see it. Yeah, so I'll probably just see it through. But
sweet.
Hoping it rebounds from there.
Okay.
What about you? Anything you're in the midst of? Yeah.
Well, you need to talk about Daredevil, so I can also then segue from that.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you set it up like that, it kind of takes away the magic of a natural segue, but you don't think so?
This is how it works, man.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, talk about Mark Waid's Daredevil Volume 1.
I read Mark Waid's Daredevil Volume 1.
But you better tread softly, you SOB. I saw your Goodreads review.
I know, I'm sorry. By Paulo Rivera. So here's why I read this. I was reading Avenging Spider-Man, and there's a couple of crossovers with Daredevil, and then there's a 3-part Omega Effect crossover, which is Punisher, Daredevil, and Spider-Man. So I was like reading the Spider-Man series, and I like Mark Waid, like from his Archie days, and I read like Flash and that sort of thing. I'm sure I read it much more. So I was like, yeah, I'll just read this. You know, I'm not a huge Daredevil.
No, it's okay. Continue.
Okay. So I was like, I'm not a huge Daredevil fan, but, I like Mark Waid. These stories are converging, so I'm going to go back and read it. It's just one of those things, The first volume, I almost didn't put it on here because I didn't want to fight about it, because I don't really have any real criticisms of it. Like, it looked good. It was stylish. It had a very, like, unified style throughout. It just comes down to personal taste, and I didn't particularly enjoy it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just don't think,
This came after, I want to say, a dark time in Daredevil's history, not just story-wise, but also Andy Diggle's run of Daredevil was the one that preceded this, and it was not great.
I do think that's part of it. I think that's part of it because there was a lot of they did not do anything to explain.
Yes.
Which is always a pet peeve of mine when you're starting something with number one. Like, just devote a couple of paragraphs in somewhere within this to kind of catch people up, because I don't know what Daredevil's coming out of here. I guess people know his identity.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of like.
Oh yeah, I mean that stuff's been was happening from the Bendis days,
Okay.
and then Ed Brubaker played around with that in a big way, and then Andy Diggle took over, and they each ended their series on a cliffhanger. So Bendis ended it on Daredevil going to jail, and so Brubaker took that over, and then Brubaker ended his on Daredevil taking over the Hand, and then Andy Diggle took over that, and then that became like Shadowland, and Daredevil was possessed by a demon, and the street level heroes had to stop him, and then he was basically like taken out of commission, and oh boy, was it Black Panther who took over for like a little bit? Now I'm
take your word on it.
But anyways,
my history with Daredevil is very limited.
Yeah.
Primarily to the Ben Affleck movie. And then I read the first 2 volumes of Frank Miller. I read Kevin Smith's Guardian Devil.
Yeah.
And then I read the later stuff. I want to say Charles Soule's like Back in Black.
Yeah.
Daredevil stuff.
Well, that's why I had you talk about Wade, because I read volume 7 of Charles Soule's run. So the graphic novel is called Daredevil Back in Black, Volume 7, Mayor Murdock, by Charles Soule and Mike Henderson.
Now, you were real critical of that run early on. Has it come around for you?
I'm still pretty critical of it. I'm on Volume 3.
7 volumes. 7 volumes of
8
being
volumes
pretty
to
critical
go.
on it.
Well, it's Daredevil. I mean, that's one of those, he's one of those characters, and I appreciate it because he's one of those characters that it's easy to read because he doesn't get multiple books. So you just read the Daredevil book and you just move.
Just read Daredevil. Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I am kind of critical of this. A lot of people seem to have really liked the early stuff. He focused. Here's the problem I have with Volume 7. The series really focused on his lawyering, and then on the whole mayoral candidacy of Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock going along with that and everything. And then Volume 7 has this secret society of superhero tech-based magical Catholic priest that helped defeat a demon that is releasing a noxious gas throughout New York City. And I
think maybe you're describing the Nicolas Cage film Secret of the Witch.
Maybe, yeah, it feels like it.
I'm pretty sure.
Like I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, that demon creature has been in this run already. As soon as Daredevil's priest, who has been going to confessions, shows up in like a tech suit and is like, "This is what we do." I'm like, this is too dumb. This has gone too far, especially with like what he was trying to go for. And I haven't been a huge fan of Charles Soule's writing in general, and honestly,
gosh, I feel like I've only read his Poe Dameron series. I don't think I've read a ton of his stuff.
I know I read he wrote the Death of Wolverine, which I didn't think was great. Yeah, he wrote this Back in Black. He wrote She-Hulk, which I thought was fine. He wrote, Lando and the Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker thing.
Oh, that was pretty good. I like that one.
He wrote the Thunderbolts I didn't like. He wrote Wolverines, which was pretty much garbage. Gosh, yeah, I guess I just don't like Charles Soule. He wrote Inhumans vs. X-Men.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Oh. You know what, though? He wrote the second series, the second Darth Vader series that came after the Kieran Gillen series.
Yeah.
And that was pretty good. So I did like his Darth Vader series.
You're in the bag for that Darth Vader series, definitely.
But yeah, I haven't really enjoyed his writing in general. There's something about it. I don't know. It always feels it always feels dull. That's the word I want to use. It has a dull sense of it. He's able to take something that's very exciting and make it less exciting.
It cracks me up that like you have nothing, no kind words to say for poor Charles Soule, and yet you just like rattled off 25 individual graphic novels that you've read by him.
Well, that's the that's the writer's lot when it comes to
Good
comic books, right? You're writing the series that other people are reading.
You know?
Yeah. I'm not following the writer, I'm following the characters here.
Kyle Higgins is my Charles Soule because I read so much Kyle Higgins Nightwing. Not good. Well, not good. The only one I liked was the one where it was like way in the future, and it was like, I think it was called Nightwing New Order. I did like that, but it was the same thing. I read probably 7 volumes of his Nightwing stuff, and every time I was like, hate it, and I kept going. So, who am I? Who am I to judge you?
I haven't been hating this Daredevil run. It just hasn't been very exciting, and it was coming off of Mark Waid's run, which I really enjoyed.
Okay.
All right. I made you say 2, so I can say another one. You mentioned I was reading Storm. You mentioned we were going to be doing a Storm episode on the previously on X-Men. So I read Storm Volume 1, Make It Rain by Greg Pak, who can be very hit or miss as well as a writer.
Can't they all be?
Yes, but Greg Pak, the Hercules series that I read later on, but then also a bad Weapon X series that I read. So this is Storm's... Gosh, when did this come out? This would have been around...
2015, I want to say.
2015, yeah. This was post the Secret Wars, or whatever the title was. Yeah, it's good. Well, there's a couple of issues that are good. And then it takes... It deals with the Break World characters. Did you ever read Joss Whedon's... X-Men run, Astonishing X-Men?
I didn't finish it, and I don't know what you're talking about, so I must not have gotten that far.
Break World is like this alien species, alien civilization that Joss Whedon introduced in his Astonishing X-Men run back when he first started. And they're so dull. I find that alien race very boring. I'm not necessarily a guy that enjoys the X-Men dealing with aliens, but the Break World really pushes it pushes me to the limit with that. I'm like, I do not care about the Break World. It was his big like ending arc too for Joss Whedon, and for some reason, Greg Pak has decided to use them at the end of this volume, like for like a multi-part story. Like each issue is kind of standalone, dealing with a certain aspect of Storm's history or character, and then as the Break World, and I cannot remember a time where Storm had a history with the Break World. So I did not care about that. But there are some interesting stuff in here. She has a story with Forge in Kenya that talks about their past relationship and a lot of the damage that Forge took as a character over the years. And also it's interesting because when Storm is first introduced in Giant Size X-Men in the 70s, she's introduced as... She's being worshipped by her village to make it rain. They're like, we'll sacrifice our cattle. And she's like, keep your cattle. Here's your rain. And they're worshiping her as a goddess. And that's something that hasn't really aged well because we're talking about like her being worshipped in the 70s. You know, so like here's a village that they're not supposed to know the difference between this stuff, and so that hasn't aged well. And Greg Pak actually kind of retcons it in that Storm at the time was maybe off her rocker a bit because she's younger and she's just kind of going everywhere. She doesn't know where she is, and the village at the time knew Storm wasn't a goddess, but they were treading lightly and they needed rain, and so they're like, well, she's not really all there at the moment. Let's go along with this, which I thought was kind of a fun retcon of that. And also it deals with she deals with the Morlocks because Storm is just forever linked with the Morlocks.
Yes, sure.
But anyways,
a responsibility she takes very seriously.
Yes, sure.
You say.
The series is good. I don't necessarily recognize the personality Storm has here sometimes. It's hard to put into words. Storm is... I don't know. It's just the writing feels very casual. I don't know. Storm... The way Storms will talk in this or act, sometimes it seems a little apart from how I recognize Storm. over the years. I can't really figure it out or put it in word. And when I was reading it, I couldn't really put my finger on it. But yeah, Greg Pak is kind of writing a Storm who reads a bit different than maybe the traditional Storm writing. Who can be very like outspoken. I mean, she's been the field leader of the X-Men. She tends to be the leader of the X-Men. And like she has a lot of character in there. She can be very regal. She can be very tough. I mean, she stabbed Callisto, and that's the reason why she's forever linked with the Morlocks.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's something that it feels a bit off with Greg Pak's Storm, but it's probably for leading her own book. It's the best way to go.
Okay.
So,
hey, I can't remember what happens when a toad gets struck by lightning.
Well, I'm glad you asked, because some things get struck by lightning and different things happen.
Okay. Huh.
And that applies to toads as well.
Not where I thought you were going with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you've read Eric Jerome Dickey, you've read the Greg Pak here, and then you read Aurora Before the Storm.
And the Warren Ellis one.
Okay, and the Warren Ellis one. So rate it.
Rate it?
Yeah. Give me your favorite.
The worst one is the Warren Ellis one. That one I wouldn't recommend to anybody except completists.
Forget it.
This is probably the series I'm going to give to somebody if they are interested in Storm, because it is very it's very solo. It's very focused on her. Because a lot of the issues are standalone, I think that makes for easier reading. It kind of goes into her history without being a completist nightmare. And it's her doing Storm things as well, which I think is good. So
yeah, and that was kind of missing from Aurora, even though I do like that.
Yeah, Aurora's fun. I would still recommend Aurora to people looking for that kind of story. But this is the one I would give to somebody who's like, do you have a Storm comic I could read?
Okay.
Yeah. What do you got?
Well, I mean, I guess let's just stick with Marvel since we've kind of been blowing through that. I mentioned that the reason why I picked up that Mark Waid Daredevil was for the crossover, which I don't believe is
I haven't heard of this crossover. Yeah,
I couldn't find it collected anywhere, and like the Avenging Spider-Man title just skips over the issue in the trade collection. So maybe they just didn't put it together. I don't know, but the basic plot is that Daredevil has this like Omega drive that has information about all the various like evil groups. It will kind of just blow everything up, and Daredevil has it, and he's wanting to hold on to it because everybody knows who Daredevil is, and he thinks as long as he has the drive, people will leave him alone because they don't want to mess with him because he has the drive. Then Punisher finds out, and he's hanging out with a lady named Cole.
Yeah, this is during I just decided to gosh, hold on, I have to go check my Punisher reading.
Anyway, and Avenging Spider-Man. So they all kind of come together here, and Punisher wants it. Spider-Man is trying to safeguard it, and Daredevil wants to keep it. But then the villains kind of converge, and the three of them have to work together. Yeah. And I was weirdly into whatever was going on with the Punisher.
This
and
is
his friend.
Yeah, that's during Greg Rucka's run.
Okay.
That Punisher. She is she's introduced in like his first volume of that series. Right. She was getting married, and her whole wedding was just murdered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she becomes kind of a Punisher sidekick.
See, this Omega Effect crossover, I feel like did a better job of catching you up on where all the characters were, probably because it's intersecting so quickly. But I didn't actually feel lost on that one, and I had a good time with it. And
I do remember this.
A little tempted to read that Punisher story.
I do remember this. This was in the Mark Waid Daredevil. It's not all collected because I remember reading it all in that run. I remember reading like the multiple issues. Did it not all cross over?
I couldn't find anything that had the 3-part crossover in it. It seemed like things were jumping over it, but maybe I just missed it. I don't know.
Interesting.
But I liked it, and like I said, it did make me kind of want to read that Punisher run.
Daredevil and Black Cat have a thing in that, and Spider-Man found out, and he was like by himself, and in one panel was like, "This is the beginning of my supervillain origin."
Yes. But that happens, but that's not in the Omega Effect. That's a crossover a little earlier in the Mark Waid run, and it's crossing over with the main Spider-Man title, not Avenging Spider-Man.
Well, maybe that's all I read then. Okay.
Yeah, that's separate. That's not connected here.
Interesting.
But anyway, the long and the short is I liked the Omega Effect, and I kind of want to read that Punisher run. Do you think I would like it?
I don't remember loving it, which might mean that you might like it because
Go
I
ahead,
don't.
say it.
Well, no, I just don't remember why I didn't like it.
Okay.
It, gosh, that turned into the War Zones thing. Um,
Hmm. Yep.
I'm really trying to remember what it was that didn't click with me.
It's short. It's like
well,
15 issues of
yeah,
that
the
type.
volume 1 I gave 4 stars.
Okay.
I guess I gave it. Yeah, it's only 3 volumes.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I gave it 4 to 3 stars. I don't know. Maybe you would. I don't remember it being super like violent and gory.
Yeah.
It was under like Marvel's main.
Well,
thing.
the vibe in the Omega Effect crossover was kind of different from what I was expecting Punisher to be, like him working with her and everything.
Yeah, that's probably the Greg Rucka effect.
Seemed a little different, but I did like it. All right, I'm gonna tell you my final Marvel book. Are you ready?
I sure am.
Denny O'Neil's final bit of Iron Man, which is like 201 to 208, is not collected. I don't know why the Epic collections just jump over it.
Weird.
It's just not collected anywhere. So I read it, and it is kind of a like we're just getting out of the Rhodey takes over for Tony, and then they have their rivalry, and then Tony comes back with a new set of armor, and then he has a face-off with
Nicolas Cage. Oh, Obadiah. Yeah.
No, different. And so
I want to take his iron mask off.
Yeah. So this is kind of meandering a little bit because it's in some ways it's a return to the status quo, but it sort of felt like Denny O'Neil knew that he wasn't going to be telling a long-term Iron Man story here. So it's kind of like issue. He's gone, you know.
All right.
So
is any part of it a return to sender?
I don't think so. No, thanks for checking, but no, I don't think so.
All right.
That's it for me and Marvel this week.
Well, so you've read all of Denny O'Neil's Iron Man.
I have, yes.
What do you think of Denny O'Neil's Iron Man run?
Well, I think it started really strong. Like I was all about like Tony kind of getting out of the picture and Rhodey taking over, and the early stuff with Rhodey trying to just being tossed into it and being like, I guess I'm doing this now. I thought all that was handled really well, but I think it just got very like the pacing became very like soap opera pacing where you're just stuck in the same level for like 20 issues. So I feel like the fact that I read it as quickly as I did may have actually hurt it. You know, if I was reading like one issue a week or something like that, maybe it would have kind of washed over me a little bit more. But here it was just like I could see the pages fly by, and I'm like, there, Tony's still sitting in a gutter. Okay, all right. So I have mixed feelings about it.
I've read Demon in the Bottle, and I've read Ironmonger, but I
don't think Demon in a Bottle. Is Demon in a Bottle Denny O'Neil?
It must come after that. Okay. Yeah. So I read the Ironmonger collection.
But that's a weird collection though, because Ironmonger's hardly in it. It's weird.
Yeah, it kind of just ends with Ironmonger, but I remember enjoying it, that one. So yeah, eventually I'll have to go and read all of this.
Demon in a Bottle is David Michelini.
I'm a demon in a bottle. You gotta rub me the right way.
Genie.
What is a genie if not someone else's tomorrow demon?
Yeah, I'd love to give you that one, but I don't think I can.
All right, that was the end of Marvel. What's your first DC book?
Oh, okay. Well, I mentioned last week that I was reading The Forever People by Jack Kirby. You know what, though?
Yeah, you didn't
I'm going
really
to forget if I don't do this now. Well, because I hadn't finished it. But before we get into that, I have a show and tell that I want to do with you real quick. Are you ready?
Yeah. All right, show tell.
Okay. I took my son to Burger King, and we got this Frisbee for a toy, right? And I was like, that's weird, just a yellow Frisbee. So we're playing with it, and then I finally realized that it's actually like it's a Wonder Woman 88 Happy Meal toy. Burger King kids meal toy. So I don't know. I mean, they must have just had these ready to go, and then they're like, "Oh, I guess just do it."
Yeah.
But what's interesting about it is that it shows the full like cheetah look from Wonder Woman 88.
Oh wow!
Which has been kind of like, is that a spoiler?
I mean, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
luckily
this is obviously. I mean, it's just the rendering of cheetah on a child's Frisbee. But I was kind of surprised, one, that there was like Wonder Woman 88 merchandise out there, and two, that I mean, it's a pretty good look at cheetah.
This was McDonald's?
Burger King.
Burger King, okay.
And I hadn't heard anything about it.
Yeah, well, I guess, they would have had to have all this stuff in production. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Mulan's going to Disney Plus now. Yeah. But for
like
an extra $30,
right?
yeah. Screw you, Disney.
Yeah.
I don't I'm not planning on doing that. I don't know if my wife will be able to make a convincing argument for it or not, but I have no intention of doing that. And everybody's like, well, $30 is how much you would pay at the theater. And I'm like, yeah, $30 is how much you would pay for the theater experience of a movie. For a giant screen, for a massive sound system, for the whole, you're going out.
See, what you got to do is just get like 40 people in masks, and then everybody's paying like, 10 cents a pop.
I'm not paying $30 to watch Disney's live action retelling of a movie that I don't think really is that great on my however sized TV with my sound bar. Like, like I enjoy watching stuff.
I always got to brag about that sound bar. No, what I'm saying is you got to get a lot of friends with you, and you all go in on it, and you're paying like $2,
Yeah, and you know what? Kendra mentioned
people, $10.
Kendra mentioned though, back to Wonder Woman, they released a toy that shows her look too. Cheetah.
Oh, okay.
So I guess if that was supposed to be hidden, it's not anymore.
Well, I've got it on a Frisbee. I don't know what to tell you.
I thought you were showing me a Frisbee that reminds you of like something from Jack Kirby's Forever People. Like,
it does have that vibe, so I understand why you think that. No, but Jack Kirby's Forever People.
The cover is ridiculous. They're just on like, what is this that they're on? They look like they're coming out of a weird version of Mad Max, and Mad Max is pretty weird.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And there's Superman in the background, like, hi!
Superman's pretty much just, I want to say maybe the first 2 issues. Okay. It's 11 issues total. I had actually read Forever People before, but a run done by Dan DiDio during the New 52 era, and I only read it because it was tying in with a major like Green Lantern event that was going on. So I read it with no knowledge about the Forever People and was like, this is stupid. This seems stupid, but I'd never read the original. So I read the original, and you know what? It's kind of stupid. I'm sad to say. I don't think it doesn't compare to New Gods or Captain Victory, really, when you're talking about Kirby's art. And the premise is just kind of like inescapably silly. It's just they are like teens, basically, from Apocalypse, who just are like driving around in a dune buggy, like getting into trouble.
And who's this character? The one on the front is the one that he's got like this lion mane around his head. Okay.
That's the thing. There's a lot of them, and they're not too distinct.
There's a lot of them.
And there are. And it's just like they just drive around in this dune buggy, and they like mix it up, with other people from Apocalypse. So it's just like, I don't know. I didn't like it. Interestingly, our friend J.M. DeMatteis picks up the series a little bit later and resolves the cliffhanger, because this does end on a cliffhanger where the Forever People are kind of like very much out of luck. So I like J.M. DeMatteis.
Hurry, challengers, it's opening!
We interviewed J.M. DeMatteis over on the All the Books show, so you can find that at soundcloud.com/allthebooks or anywhere you get your podcast.
Too bad you hadn't read this first.
Yeah,
probably some fun stuff in there to have asked him about that, taking over Jack Kirby's apparently weird aside project.
Well, it's funny too, because we interviewed both Steve Englehart and J.M. DeMatteis. Steve Englehart took over Mr. Miracle, and J.M. DeMatteis took over Forever People. So it's just kind of funny that they both picked that up. I might someday just pick up those issues and kind of resolve the story. I'm not in a rush to do that, though. I do sort of feel like the weirdness of J.M. DeMatteis, like his sort of spiritual approach to things, could actually really jibe well with the Forever People. So maybe, but honestly, I don't really recommend this.
You keep saying the Forever People, and I keep thinking the Tomorrow People, which was like a show I watched about a bunch of kids with weird powers.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much what this is. So, Anyway, it's collected by itself. It's collected in the Kirby's Fourth World Omnibus. And maybe if you're reading like 2 or 3 issues at a time, you might just sort of be like, well, that was weird. Right. And move on to the next thing. But it was not, I didn't enjoy it.
All
right. What about you? What else you got? You read DC this week?
I did. So we mentioned it was my birthday. I got, this can be a fun aside too. I was given the DC app. The DC app for my birthday, because I had told Kendra, I'm like, if anybody's asking for like, kind of an off thing, like I would like a subscription to the DC app. And so they were going to get me a year subscription of DC Universe, but
Yeah.
they have removed the year option.
Oh,
So I don't know. It
hurts.
seems like it's not long for this world as it is. I'd be shocked if like the comic book option just disappears. I'd be
Me
absolutely
too.
shocked. I have to imagine they're just gonna fold it into HBO Max in some way. Maybe you have to maybe you will have to pay like an extra thing on HBO Max to get the comics. Maybe the comics will just be included. I don't know.
I hope that you can get the comics a la carte, or you can get a crazy good deal adding them onto HBO
Yeah.
Max. But I don't know, I'm a little paranoid about it. Like, I feel like I need to go and read all the weird DC stuff, that's not collected
Yeah.
or whatever before it goes away. But
Yeah.
I can't imagine
There's
that it
going
would
to be
just
a 24-hour DC event coming up at the end of this month. And I
Yes.
imagine whatever is going to happen is going to be announced then. I'd be shocked
Yeah.
if it's not, because when else do
Yeah,
you
me
announce
too.
something like that? So anyways, yeah, I got a year subscription. I mean, it's not DC's. I don't blame DC. I think they had an idea of what they wanted to
Yes.
do, and they
Yeah.
had a vision, and then that AT&T merger came along
Yeah.
and really messed around with HBO, and in the
Well,
process, the DC app was a casualty, is becoming a casualty.
honestly, I feel like with a lot of the streaming services that have popped up recently, like even the biggest of the big, all feel a little bit rushed to me. And I think the problem with
Yeah.
the DC app was that it just did not have things.
Yeah.
Like when it first launched, it had hardly any comics on it, which was crazy.
The
And
HBO Max is the same though. It released
Yeah, that's
and
what
it
I
was
mean.
like,
That's what
we
I'm
have a
saying.
DC section. Check out some of the DC movies we have, and it's like 3 of the new ones, and then
Like Jonah Hex.
and then the Tim Burton Batmans is like, do
Yeah.
you want to watch The Dark Knight? Go to hell.
Yeah. But that's what I mean though. It's like they didn't have the DC extended universe on there. They didn't have the CW shows. It was like all the things that you'd really want to watch.
Yeah.
They didn't have. And
Yeah.
so like I think making it so top heavy with original content like Titans and all that was maybe kind of a weird move. I think the market for just having a subscription like you can with Marvel to just have the comics, I think that was definitely there. And I think they just were too ambitious. And then you're
Well,
probably right. Like corporate things
Yeah.
happening really kneecapped it. But
The only show
I
I
can't go
wanted
back.
to
I need 'em.
watch on the DC app was Harley Quinn,
Yeah.
and now that's on HBO Max.
yeah, I came around on Titans.
Yeah, I know
Once-
you ended up liking Titans. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'd be down for season 3 of Titans, definitely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I know
it's just strange. So I've always wanted the DC to have like the comic app like Marvel.
Yeah.
That's what I
Oh, yeah.
wanted, and like while reading Marvel Unlimited for a while, I was like, why doesn't DC have something like this? And then they put it
Yeah.
out. I'm like, I'm excited. And then when they launched, it was kind of wonky. They didn't have a lot of comics on it. But now like it has plenty of stuff, and like that's what I want. But yeah, I'd be really sad and really shocked if like the
Yeah.
comic option disappears.
I pre-ordered, Eric.
I know.
I pre-ordered the DC Universe app.
Yeah.
That's how much I wanted.
I
these
don't think
comic
we'd
books.
be talking about this at all, this like weirdness, if it had just been a comic app.
No.
So
No.
yeah, because
I
the
feel like
Marvel app, the Marvel Unlimited will use your Disney Plus password now. Like
Yeah.
that changed everything over, but there's no like subscribe to Disney Plus and get Marvel Unlimited
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
I really think the appetite for the comics was always there, you
Yeah.
know? And it's a weird, unfortunate thing. But anyway, that's a long way into
yeah,
telling me
I
what
have
DC
I have
comics
a
you read
month
this week.
anyways.
Yeah,
So I
well,
actually reread something.
I don't know when mine runs out. I need to go like look at it again and see when I'm gonna like drop it.
I picked up John Ostrander's Suicide Squad.
Oh,
trade
wow,
paperback.
okay.
So I read the
Old
first
school.
one.
Yeah.
It's Secret Origins 14 and Suicide Squad 1 through 8. I had read this a while ago, but when I had picked it up, it was like the only Suicide Squad trade that you could get of this series.
Yeah.
There wasn't more, and they have now continued it. I think they've completed it.
Yeah.
It was 69
I think
issues.
so. Mhm.
And I think it was a little bit before the movie that they started doing that, but they had only just finished it like in the past couple of years. So yeah, that just wasn't an option for me when I got the trade. So I'm going to read through this series now because it's one I've been wanting to read through. It's one of the big series I wanted the DC app for.
Yeah.
but I decided to just reread these issues just to catch up with it, and I'm glad I did, because there's a lot of like subplots, like Rick Flagg's old girlfriend being alive and on the team and not liking him, Amanda Waller's whole origin about her son being murdered, her daughter being raped and murdered, her husband being murdered in a vendetta to kill his daughter's murderer, and like it's. I didn't
Is she
remember.
The Punisher?
No, she's not. I mean, in her own way, she is, I suppose.
That's true.
It's just instead of using her Vietnam training, she's using a bunch of supervillains.
Right.
But there is stuff I remembered here. I remembered Captain Boomerang letting a teammate die because that teammate had not been nice to him earlier. But he's such an ass. This Captain Boomerang is the worst. He would be a huge fan of Reddit these days, or whatever that 4chan. I don't even know what it is. But yeah, I really like this series. You got like Deadshot being that self-destructive way he is. Bronze Tiger is coming off. This all came out of like Legends. Did you ever read Legends?
No, I don't think so. Maybe little bits here and there.
It had Golden Godfrey, Gorgeous Godfrey, Glorious Godfrey. I can't remember. Like a guy whose power was controlling
like
people.
a big like crossover comic event.
Yeah.
I did read that. Yeah.
Okay, it's like 6 issues with Darkseid watching stuff. The Suicide Squad like make their first appearance in that. So I kind of like cruised through that. I didn't really read it. I just read the Suicide Squad parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Secret Origin tells the story of like Rick Flagg's father. Anyway, it's good. It's a good series. The first story feels a little dated. Has some kind of racial undertones with their first target. They're going up against a Middle Eastern supervillain group called the Jihad, which I do not think has really aged well at all. I was even like, do I even bring this up? And it's just, but yeah, it does. But then later on, that's just there at the beginning, at least what I've read so far. But it just seemed like an unfortunate element of this story. But the rest of the series, it deals with a lot of political issues. Really, really interesting team dynamics. And I've read a couple of Suicide Squad comics. And like the current Suicide Squad that was gosh, I can't remember who has written it. I've read up to the 7 volumes though. It's the one that did the big versus fight between Justice League.
Oh yeah.
I never thought that was good. It was more of a guilty pleasure. Whereas I think this is good. This is a series that I've always kind of thought like this would be cool to own in trade form, like all the volumes. So yeah, I'm gonna keep reading this. I think it's like 7 or 8 volumes collected. So I've added some stuff. Yeah, I want to finish the question. I want to read some Swamp Thing. There's some Batman there I gotta read. So yeah, like you just said, like all this weird DC stuff. There's like all this really cool 80s DC comics that I want to read, and I wanted to read all the stuff like around Steve Englehart's run of
Batman.
That strange apparition stuff. I wanted to read the Denny O'Neil stuff. So yeah. Anyway, that's my DC thing of the week. What else have you read?
Okay. I got a few more DC things. This one's stupid, so I'm going to tell you this one first. That's Krypto the Superdog.
How stupid! Wrong one.
This is a 6-issue series that came out around the time when the show Krypto the Superdog came out.
Mm-hmm.
So I read this with my son.
So this is an old series.
Well, like I guess like 2006, something like that.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I had a couple of the single issues, so we were looking at that, and then the rest of it is on the DC app. But we read that because my son's been really getting into comics, and those, like, back when DC was doing that Johnny DC line, those were just right, like they were all nice self-contained stories, age appropriate and everything, and this was part of that.
Right.
So it was that, and also in a couple of weeks on the All the Book Show, we're going to be doing a dog story episode.
Yes.
And so, like, how can I not read Krypto the Superdog?
Yeah.
But the thing is, this was fun. It's very colorful, and the stories are of course really simple. It's like 2 unrelated tales in each issue. Tales, get it?
Yep.
What was kind of fun about it though is that in that show, Superman's only ever like in the pilot just to kind of establish what's going on. But the series had Superman did an issue, Flash did an issue, and Batman did an issue. So it was just kind of cool to see that expanded a little bit. And my son was a huge fan of it. So
this was Cartoon
Krypto
Network?
the Superdog. It was Cartoon Network, yeah.
Okay. I guess I remember seeing it on like like UPS. Not UPS. What's
UPN?
UPN. No, not UPN. The whatever Arthur had originally been on. The kids one. The one with like
PBS?
PBS. Yeah, I remember seeing it on PBS.
No. Really? Oh,
yeah,
that would surprise me. I think you are.
I'm thinking probably the Clifford Show now that there's some
crossover there. It does share some DNA.
Yeah. Could Krypto defeat if Krypto hung out with Clifford, would Krypto become evil?
Huh.
Because Clifford's made of red kryptonite.
Because he's red, sure. It's
but
possible.
Does that affect Krypto because he's colorblind?
Huh. You've given us a lot to think about here at the Comic Book Coffee Break. As far as I know, this was never collected, this Krypto series, but it looks like they put out each individual issue as like a kid's paperback kind of book.
Okay.
You know, so it's out there. It's out there. What else you got?
I read Justice Inc., which was by Dynamite and was written by Michael Uslan.
Okay.
This is a... when did this come out? This came out in 2015. It is the first crossover, the first team-up of The Shadow, Doc Savage, and the original The Avenger.
Okay.
Maybe I would have liked this more if I had ever read anything with these characters. This was on Comixology. If I had a Comixology subscription, I could read this. So I did. I thought it may be cool. Like, I've seen the Shadow film, so I kind of know about Shadow. I don't really know anything about Doc Savage other than these pulp characters. I think, like, for me, I need, like, a Tarzan/Zorro crossover. Maybe get Conan the Barbarian in there.
I mean, there's definitely a Tarzan Zorro out there. I'd be shocked if there wasn't.
Like, those are the pulp heroes, characters, like, I know.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Green Hornet? Maybe a little Green Hornet
if
mixed
Green
in
Hornet
there?
had been here, that would have been something. So I was reading some reviews of this. I guess these characters don't really read like they would if you had read their original stuff. That Michael Uslan has a very specific version of these characters, and this changes their origins a bit. But despite not really caring too much about it or liking it, I think he gets the job done. Here's what I think. The art was by Giovanni Timpano, and it's kind of standard comic book art. The covers are by Alex Ross, and I think this series should have been an Alex Ross book because he has that's his thing, this pulp art, and I think this would have benefited from Alex Ross's art creating that pulp vibe.
I can see that.
I kind of think it was a mistake to have him do the covers, because if you're not having him do the art, because when you see the covers, like, oh, this is what we could have had then. But at the same time, they were the Avenger like spun off into his own like Justice Inc. story. Okay. And so maybe you wanted to keep the same look between the two. Anyway, I don't think it was as pulpy as I would have enjoyed it, but it did make me think like I could probably read The Shadow book. So Doc Savage was kind of funny. Okay. Yeah. Made me think at one point they were talking about Genghis Khan and everything. He's like, and the Shadow's like, Savage, what's your lineage? Who's your forefather? And Doc Savage says a Vandal. And I did read, there's no connection between Vandal Savage and Doc Savage. So I didn't understand that at all.
Interesting.
Maybe had I known anything about Doc Savage, I would have picked up on something. But for me, I was just like, are they connected?
That's interesting.
So anyway, this isn't even a book. You don't have any connection with these characters, right?
No. Yeah. No.
So it's not really one I would recommend anyone to read. But I guess there's some Shadow books out there that maybe I'll like see if they're on Comixology or not. But yeah, you're right. Green Hornet would have been a good addition to this. I don't know if he's like in the same line.
There are some pulpy team ups like that do include Green Hornet. I haven't read them, but they are out there, so maybe you'll bump into those.
Yep. But I guess he doesn't have any powers, whereas these three do.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He's just a guy.
Yep, with a confusing backstory where he pretends to be a villain to be a good guy.
And
it's always a tough sell.
Yeah.
But
Seth wrote All right.
Kevin Smith is making a new Green Hornet animated series.
Yeah.
That's the
So
word
he
on the street
says.
anyway.
I don't trust Kevin
That's
Smith.
why I said that's the word on the street. But hey, I mean, Masters of the Universe is happening, so
Yeah. All right. What else
maybe
have
it's
you
going to
read?
come through. Oh, speaking of cartoons, I read the first volume of Green Lantern, the animated series.
Okay.
2 volumes of this, and then the last 3 or so are uncollected. But this is by Art Baltazar and Franco. But it's much more
Dave
traditional.
or James?
What?
You said Franco.
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Franco?
Definitely not Dave.
Not Dave. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
But I don't know if it's okay to like James Franco anymore. It doesn't seem like it anymore.
The jury's out.
Yeah.
Usually their stuff is really, really cartoony, like when they do things like that Shazam series, or they did like Itty Bitty Mask, or
okay.
But this was just pretty traditional, like comic book art, and it matched well with the show. I love that Green Lantern animated series.
Yeah, it was good. That was really. It was a surprise.
It really was,
and it was a show that got better. Like at the beginning, I remember just thinking like, this is fine, but as it went on, it really like stuck to its own continuity and was like telling some really crazy stories. Yeah. And
I think it hit a perfect balance of serialized versus episodic, because I think most episodes you could drop in and just enjoy without having seen everything, but there really was a long plot that they were doing in there. So
I also like it because when the Justice League cartoon had some Green Lantern episodes, but at these days it also kind of feels a bit dated when they do the Green Lantern stuff, because it came before the Jeff Johns Green Lantern run, and so this really gets into the whole Green Lantern, the spectrum, because a lot of the Atrocitus is like the main villain, right? It's the Red Lanterns that are the main villain, and you get the Blue Lantern in here. Yeah, like it really kind of
and in the main ensemble you have a rogue Red Lantern who's working with it's cool, and it was fun to revisit that series, and I thought it was above your regular, like, this is an adaptation of a cartoon, and they were original stories, so it was but I'll probably finish the series. This isn't something that I would have like put money down on a counter somewhere, but as long as the DC app exists and it's there, I'll probably read through this whole run.
Right.
Because I had a good time with it.
Any more DC?
My final in DC is a brand new one called Superman Smashes the Klan by Gene Luen Yang and Giri Hiro. Now, are you familiar with this one at all?
I haven't read it, but I've known this was coming out, and obviously there's certain people who aren't happy with it, and we can say screw you to them.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
It's got a really interesting history. So first of all, I mean, I'm a fan of this author. His Superman work in the Truth era was some of the best Superman that we've had, in the last 10 years or so, I would say. I loved that run. So I feel like keep giving Gene Luen Yang Superman to write, because he does such a good job at it. Mm-hmm. This looks amazing. Like, it's very clearly taken from the Flesher era Superman. Right. Like, that's the design of the costume that you're seeing.
Guri Hiru?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's got 2 things going on. First, a Chinese American family moves out of Chinatown, like into the suburbs, because the father's a scientist, and right away people are like, oh, no. You need to live in Chinatown, And so the kids start being harassed and everything. So he just, it starts strong with that. Mm-hmm. And you have this. They don't call it the Ku Klux Klan. They call it the, what is it? The Klan of the Flaming Cross.
Okay.
Is what it is in the book. And I mean, that's it. So it's kind of a parallel story with like these kids sort of dealing with this, and they befriend Jimmy Olsen, and so Superman gets involved, and there's a whole storyline with that. But the second, and probably like the secondary plot, is Superman coming to grips with his like Kryptonian heritage, and seeing his powers come out, because in this book he's limited to what he was limited to in like the Flesher cartoons, or the early like pre-radio kind of days where he wasn't flying and he didn't have heat vision and that sort of thing. Right. So it's all about him like grappling with that and coming to terms with like the true natures of his power and dealing with racism. So it managed to really like do both of those stories completely and very well. So I was just like overwhelmingly impressed with it. I think it's
Right.
great. I think it's just top notch. So I highly recommend it. It's very
So,
good.
Gori Hiru,
Yep.
it's an illustrating like company with a few people.
Oh, I
It's a
see.
Japanese
Okay.
company.
Okay.
This is their first DC project. You've read stuff with their art because they did a whole bunch of Power
Okay.
Pack, X-Men, Avengers,
Yeah.
Spider-Man Power Pack. So probably the digest form.
Yeah.
And also you read The Unstoppable Wasp,
Yeah.
which was them as well.
Yeah.
And they also did the Avatar: The Last Airbender comic book series,
Oh, okay. I didn't read
which
that.
has at your library, and I remember being pretty popular,
Yeah.
even though that's like an older property now.
Speaking of library, this I read this on Overdrive or the Overdrive/Libby app, and
Oh,
that's
nice.
the one I use. And your
Yeah.
library is Hoopla, right? Where you are?
We have Hoopla, we have Overdrive as well. So yeah,
Okay.
there's
Yeah.
there's options.
Yeah. Yeah. Quite a few. So this
Yeah.
it was great to read that way. But the history of it's kind of interesting too
Yeah.
because it's a loose adaptation of a radio serial from the 40s that
Ah.
invented this because they couldn't say Ku Klux Klan. They invented this
Hmm.
very, very clear stand-in. And
Well,
so
props
I
to the
thought,
people who did that then.
I know that's
To be
exactly
dealing
what I
with
thought.
Superman versus the Klan in the 40s.
I thought that was really ballsy of them. I was
Yeah.
very impressed. So
Yeah.
I think you should read this.
Yeah, no, I
And
want
know
to.
you got
I
a library
didn't.
card. You got a library card, so you can
I
just
do.
check it
Yeah.
right out.
So this isn't on the DC app right now, then.
It's not. No.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of times the original graphic novels like this aren't.
Oh.
So there's a lot, especially in like the YA realm, which this is technically considered
Mhm.
YA. But there's a lot like that Flying Graysons one or the Batman. What's that new Batman like Road Rage one?
No idea.
It's like a Fast and Furious Batman mashup. Anyway, there's a lot of things like that aren't on the app yet.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyway, this was the best thing I read all week. So
Okay.
2 major thumbs up for that.
Oh, does that mean the Archie comics don't get it?
Oh, are you done?
I'm done.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
it's not a competition or anything, but yeah. So I do have the Archie Unlimited app for a while, and I read the complete run of Betty and Veronica Vixens Volume 1 and 2. This is by Jamie Lee Rotante, who wrote Betty and Veronica's Senior Year, which I loved. I thought that was great. Arts by Eve Cabrera. I feel like the art kind of lets the book down a little bit because the book goes for a very serious, like, what if Betty and Veronica like started a motorcycle gang, but it's still like the Betty and Veronica that you know.
Is it not the same art on the from the cover? Is it not the cover art?
I don't think that it is,
Okay.
but it's not as tight on the inside either.
Yeah. The cover art looks cool.
Yeah, the cover art is cool, but it doesn't retain that. It's a little loose on the inside in a way
So
that
do
I
they
don't.
join whatever that biker gang is in Riverdale?
No, they start their own called the Vixens to fight the Serpents.
Ah.
Who is the biker gang
How
from Riverdale.
big is that
I know.
town in that show that they
Well,
even have a biker gang?
It can support 2 biker gangs. So
Yeah, all right.
the weird thing about it is that like, there was like swearing in it, which there never is in an Archie comic, but it was odd because some of it was like bleeped out and some of it wasn't, and it
Mhm.
seemed kind of arbitrary. So it was like going for this serious tone, but the art was kind of like cartoony in a weird way. The first volume was all right, but I feel like by the time you get to like issue 10 or 11, like it's just overstayed its welcome. So
Right.
I wouldn't really recommend it, but Jamie Lee Rotante's Betty and Veronica Senior Year was very good. And finally, I read The Cartoon Life of Chuck Clayton. This is by Alex Simmons.
So who's
So
Chuck
Chuck-
Clayton?
Chuck is a supporting character in the Archie world. His dad is Coach Clayton, who's, the coach at the high school.
Okay.
And Chuck is a cartoonist. And so, he's a somewhat prominent character, especially in when you're looking at sort of like the world of Archie titles, But this was the first time that I've ever known Chuck to like get his own title.
Right.
So it was pretty cool. It's just about him. He's a cartoonist. He's an artist. And it's about him teaching like an after school cartooning class.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one of those ones where like the cartoons sort of overtake it. And so the characters are like in their cartoon form for a while as he's working through the art with them. And it kind of goes back and forth. So Archie's hardly in it at all. He just, he's on the cover and he shows up here and there, but it's like Chuck just gets his own title, which I thought was cool. So it's just a standalone graphic novel. But, yeah, pretty decent.
Okay, so not like not one of those like grocery store
No.
digest. Okay.
No.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. as you know, I'm working through as much of the new Archie stuff as I can get.
I'm
right.
gonna.
Yeah.
I've got another present to show.
Okay.
I was gonna do this here. So you sent me some like unopened.
Yeah.
Who is this? It doesn't. Comic Images trading card packs.
Yeah. Yeah.
You sent me 5. It's
something like that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna open the X-Force.
I was very excited to find these. I was very excited.
I'm gonna open these. These are from 1991. These X-Force ones, or at least that's the copyright. So we're talking like early 90s, unopened. I almost feel bad about opening them, but like, cards are to be enjoyed, right? What do I do with these after? Yeah.
You gotta chew that gum if it's in there too.
Oh gosh, no, there's no gum in here, thank goodness. So this yellow packaging that says the beginning of the end,
unappealing.
Follow the transformation of the New Mutants to X-Force. So let's see if this is gonna tell a story. So I'm gonna open this up on.
Do it.
Here we go. All right.
I'm excited.
There we go. Okay. I guess it doesn't tell a story. We've got one that says "I'm staying." It's got I believe that's Wolfbane and Danny. As Danny is just gonna stay and be a Valkyrie. She's saying goodbye to her mutant. So maybe this is telling the story because now we've got changes. Oh wait, these can't be telling a story because "I'm staying" is card number 12. Changes is number 55.
Yeah. Maybe you got a little checklist in there and you can collect them all.
Yeah. Deadpool, Gideon on the cover. You got that original Cable haircut where it's like a mohawk, but also his hair's receding. Yeah. It's not a great look. I don't know what Rob Liefeld was going for that.
Not a good look.
But you got the New Mutants team. This one has Genosha, so it's got Wolverine and Psylocke being captured in Genosha.
Cool.
So I think this is the Extinction Agenda. Unmasked. We just found out that Strife looks like Cable.
Oh,
Unmasked.
Same haircut?
Yeah.
Same haircut? Different haircut?
Yeah, they're the same. And now begins the whole, is Cable the clone or is Strife the clone? Which one is the Summers child? This one says, get out. It's got, I don't know. Oh, I guess Cannonball is throwing Wolverine and Cable out.
Huh.
So, yeah.
That's weird, because Wolverine usually goes where he wants to go.
Well, not in this... I've got a checklist. Let's see.
Yeah.
You got 45 cards on this side, and then this is a 90-card series. This trading card. We've got...
That's ambitious.
Yeah.
You're going to have to buy a lot of packs.
More Wolfbane. We've got Rain in her Genosha costume.
Wow.
Fight! Freedom Force follows Cable to Manhattan and attacks him. Yeah. And then the last card.
Time capsule, right?
Yeah. Last card. Here we go. Dark Valkyrie, number 10. So this is still the New Mutants. New Mutants I haven't read yet, so a bit of a spoiler. Daniel Moonstar has been transformed into a Dark Valkyrie. So this happens before the I'm Staying.
Okay.
So these are the cards I got. The 10 out of 90.
Yeah, well,
so I guess I need to get an old trading card binder and start putting these in order.
If you got a Trapper Keeper around, that'd be fine.
Yeah, look at these. So New Mutants to X-Force cards are the first one I've opened.
Pretty cool.
That's fun. I tell you what, we're looking forward to that Ghost Rider pack.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I want to see that Batman Returns pack.
Oh yeah, the movie cards are always fun because we're always just like, wow, it's a still image from the movie.
Yeah. Yep. I have the complete run of Lois and Clark trading cards.
I have a complete set of the Jurassic Park ones. And if you line them all up together upside down, they form a movie poster.
Sick.
So
that's pretty good.
So many though. I don't know why we do that.
That's pretty good.
All right. So that was that. I decided that was going to be my replacement for the Batman pick of the week.
Okay.
So.
All right. So you want me to get to my quarter bin then?
Get to your quarter bin.
This, here we got an Aquaman.
This makes sense for you. Yes, I totally understand why Kid Nick is picking up an Aquaman
I
comic.
know for a fact that this was a quarter bin pick. I
Uh-huh.
remember. I've had this one forever.
Uh-huh.
It's great. I mean, it's got a great cover. It's got a great cover. It's got, you've got your prominent orange. It's got the classic Aquaman logo. It's just a lot going on. There's a NATO ship going after him. Some sort of tells a whole tale right here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get in. Let's get inside of this comic book. All right. So this is Aquaman number 59 from 1977. The artist on this was Jim Aparo, and I did not see a writer listed, so who knows?
Okay.
But Aquaman stands alone. So we start right in the thick of it, okay? Aquaman is on the trail of the fisherman when he's interrupted by NATO ships, and they don't get along. They do not get along. Aquaman and NATO have a real problematic relationship. They have a bit of a turf war. But then they get kind of caught up in things. And so with fishermen there, Aquaman saves the NATO ship and everything's fine. Under the sea, the fisherman and his henchmen are going for the sunken ship. No explanation. But there's a sunken ship called the Bellerophon that's down there. It's teetering on this thing. They're trying to get rid of it. And it turns into this big, like, underwater rumble. Meanwhile, in Portugal...
Okay. I'm with you.
King 1 has a diplomat tied up. No explanation given. Back in the sea, the fisherman sends a mini torpedo that dislodges the shipwreck, okay? So now it's going over to like a big precipice. Aquaman has no idea what is in this ship. He just knows that the fisherman wants it gone, and that's all he needs to know. So he goes to action. He wants to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it's going to fall, but the Scavenger comes, another Aquaman villain, comes and rescues this ship, only... everyone thought Scavenger was dead, and apparently he's not. So Aquaman is surprised to learn that Scavenger survived the time decelerator.
Uh-huh.
No context given. To which Scavenger calls Aquaman a sea turkey.
What is a sea turkey?
I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know.
Okay.
Turkeys are dumb. Turkeys are like notoriously dumb.
Right. So that's it.
So
I was thinking about this.
I don't know.
I was thinking about this yesterday or a couple days ago. I was mowing the lawn, and I was just
thinking about sea turkeys.
No, I was thinking about how it's kind of funny that like we were on the land first, so we named all the animals, and then we got to the sea, and we just decided we were done naming animals, and we just started naming them other things. Like, oh yeah, that's a lionfish, and that's a zebrafish. It's like, well, zebra didn't exist before we came up with zebra, but we got to the ocean. We're like, I can't name a whole new set of animal. Just call them whatever we have on the land.
Yeah.
Named with fish.
maybe the sea turkey's a real thing and I just don't know about it. I don't know.
All right.
Anyway, Scavenger is going to take this ship, and Aquaman feels like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? So he's like, hey, fisherman, let's team up. Fisherman wants no part of this, but then he gets a little jangle on the old walkie-talkie, and King 1 back in Portugal says, no, you have to team up with Aquaman because we need that boat. So they start to rumble again because Fisherman's not going to go along with this. NATO comes in to help Aquaman, and the end. I don't know what happens.
That's it? That's the cliffhanger?
That's a cliffhanger.
Did this start from like a story?
Well, it's right in the middle of Fisherman trying to get this sunken ship and Aquaman trying to stop him. So, yeah, I guess it must. But there's a backup story. Mira gets her own title. So the backup story is Mira, the Kingdom of Doom by Paul Kupperberg and Juan Ortiz. We learn that Mira has returned home to save her young son. Now, Aquaman in his story said that Mira had left him and that his son was dead. But Mira is here back in her home world. To try to save the kid, right?
Right.
So she gets there, and everything's bananas. Liron has taken power of this world, which I always thought her world was called Zebel, but there's a character named Zebel, and it doesn't seem to be the name of the home world, so maybe that changed at some point.
Zebel!
So we learn that Zebel is taken prisoner by Liron, who is taken over as ruler of this realm, because Mira was the queen, and she left to go be, with Aquaman. Mira beats the ever-loving crap out of him. But then Liron gets the upper hand because he turns his weapon on Zebel, and she's like, no. But then Zebel's like, no, fight him. So they start fighting again, and Liron just loses his mind. His mind just snaps. I don't know if it was a battle of the wills and he lost, but his mind just snaps and he's just like a crazy shell of a person. So Mira saves Zebel, and Zebel's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that Vulko called you because we seriously need some help. But the thing is, Vulko didn't call her. She's only there to save the kid. But things get worse because the only person who can save that kid is Liron, who is now crazy. The end. I don't know what happened.
If somebody goes crazy in Zebel, do they give a Zebel yell?
Yeah.
Yeah, that all sounds ridiculous. So you bought this as a kid for a quarter.
I did. Yes.
You're a longtime Aquaman fan, so you must have loved this as a kid then.
I did have a good time with it.
But you never went looking?
Series. I just didn't do that, which is so weird to me now that I wouldn't think like.
You read 59, and you're like, I don't need to
happened?
see what happens in 60.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's so funny. Like, I went broke completing things as a teenager. Like, when I got to my, I remember going to my comic book store, and they only had pieces of Age of Apocalypse, like parts of the series. And so, like, I spent months to maybe like a year or two waiting for him to get the issues of the Age of Apocalypse series I didn't have. Yeah. Like, if I had a missing piece, I was looking for it. But you're like, I got quarters for days. I don't need to read these series. Life is all about variety.
It was quantity over quality in those days, I guess. I like that cover, and that was enough for me.
But this was quality for you as well. This Aquaman
I guess so, yeah.
For 25 cents.
I guess so. Yeah. But it's a very abrupt. It doesn't give you anything.
Yeah, for either of their story, him
it's
or
a
Mira.
Meaningless slice where nothing happens. So I'm kind of surprised. But
yeah.
Anyway, that's it.
Fun reread.
Yes.
Yeah.
But now I do kind of want to know.
I was looking.
But I'll tell you what, that Fantastic Four, I got burned by Fantastic Four 179 because I went looking to try to resolve the cliffhanger and was disappointed. So I'm just gonna have to let this.
It looks like it was reprinted.
Oh.
In a series.
Okay.
The Death of a Prince.
Oh, okay.
We
actually have that at my library.
Is that true?
Yeah, it is true.
All right, yeah. Aquaman, Death of a Prince. You haven't read this?
Huh. You know what though? It says that I have read it on Goodreads.
But where?
So that's
okay. This gives us some writers though. The writers are Steve Skeets, Paul Levitz, and Mike Grell. Yeah, because Grand Comic Book Bait. So I don't know. You'll have to pick up that trade again and see if you actually have.
Yeah, I guess I got
read it.
I mean, I reviewed it and everything. So I read it in 2013. Crazy.
Yeah, it says got Adventure Comics and Aquaman 57 through 63 in there.
Wow.
So you'll have to let us know. And you also have to let us know what the heck your shirt is saying.
Oh, it's a Columbo shirt. It says, what would Columbo do? You know what? This is made for me by another good friend, Sally Jacoby Murphy. Thank you, Sally. Yeah. Friends just making me stuff, I guess. Yeah. You ever made me anything?
Have I ever made you anything?
Yeah, have you ever made me anything with your little hands?
That's rude. No. I mean, I guess I've helped make you some podcasts and some...
That's true.
I made your 90210 cover.
That's true. And you once helped me shovel a metric ton of shingles off of my
full of baby snakes.
Patio. Full of baby snakes, yeah. So, in a sense, you made me a patio.
Yeah. Didn't I also help lift a cabinet up to your second floor? But we had to do it by carrying it on the roof.
Yeah.
And I had to lift it from the bottom, and then I had to run upstairs and pick it up from the top.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not crafty doesn't mean I'm not helpful in other ways.
This is not interesting for the comic book aficionados out there, but we bought that cabinet and then realized it wouldn't fit in your car. So a stranger took it halfway, and my wife had to meet us with a bigger car and get it, and then we couldn't get it in the door, so we had to drag it up on the roof.
What an adventure. So, that was our Adventure Comics number 49.
You don't have to make me anything.
All right. I designed your 90210 Here We Go podcast cover.
And it was appreciated.
Thank you. Well, all right, that's it. So, there we go.
Okay.
I closed the Google. Oh, no, I didn't. I left it open.
Yeah.
Here it is.
No, that's it. You're right.
Yeah.
We've reached the end.
Yeah.
We've reached the end.
The
We
end
need
of it
to.
all. So
Carol
I still have another Yojimbo I need to read.
Okay.
On Hoopla. I need to keep reading those soon. I gotta read so much DC stuff because I only got it for a month. So
I am planning on. I was reading a ton of Green Arrow because we did a Green Arrow spotlight for the All the Book Show, and I got into reading a lot of Green Arrow, like back issues. I read the whole Grail run. I read. So I was up to when when the title switched to Green Arrow Black Canary.
Right.
So I'm gonna dive into some of that for next week. Get back into that.
All right.
Yep.
This show is brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. You can find more about this show and others like it at the network's website, radiomeanwhile.com, and you can find past episodes of this there and YouTube. See you later.